Well. What do you know? This is the Melbourne Live Show, and today we're here, and today is the 7th of January. Lots of things happening, particularly in the US of A. Um, what's going on in the Capitol Hill. It's something that is, not. What we would expect of our friends in America. But in any case, stay safe and be safe, right? And we are all looking at you in terms of the the future of democracy. All right, so um, that's all I'm gonna say when it comes to politics. In any case, thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Karina. Thank you for dropping by, and for the rest of you who are, on the live stream itself, do drop me a message, leave a comment, give me a thumbs up, and let me know that you are here. All right. Be more than glad to kind of give you a shout out here. So let me know. Now, what I want to be talking about today is the idea of making live stream a habit. Now, before we go into that, I just want to quickly remind you that if you want to get a copy of the A to Z guide on live streaming in 2021, and that's a definitive guide. So, what happens is that when you subscribe when you head on down to the website itself, you will see a landing page, and on that landing page itself, you will then do an opt-in. And once you're opted in, you'll be taken through the process whereby every single day you will receive one chapter, right? So chapter one is on A for audience, right? So I go deep into what exactly is an audience and how do you identify audience in 2021. And then chapter two is on the business objectives, and this is where we talked about how you can link your live stream to your business objective, whatever your business objectives are, right? And then, of course, when it comes to later on, when you are looking at, let's say, um, uh, chapter three, that's where we go into content. So if you want to get a better idea in terms of how you can create content, check that out. And chapter four, it's about distribution. So, what are some of the ways that you could look at leveraging distribution so that you are able to get the best out of it, right? So if you want a copy of that A to Z guide, make sure you head on down to livestream.rocks and key in your email address, and every chapter will be sent to you directly in your inbox every day. All right, so that's something for you. If you are thinking about making live streaming a competitive edge for your business in 2021, and why shouldn't you, right? So let's get to today's topic itself. Now, today's topic is about making live streaming a habit. And so I remember once I heard about this thing about habit, and it goes something like this. Why is a habit so difficult to get rid of, right? I mean, why is it so difficult to break a bad habit? So when you take the word habit, you have HABIT, and so when you take away the H, you still have a bit, right? And when you take away the A, you still have bit. When you take away B, you still have it. And only when you take away I, then you have T. And of course, T in our Christian context is the cross, right? And so that is like, you are saying that until you go into the I, you look at your identity, who you are, and you recognizes that, that's only when you will be able to get to the crux of it, which is Christ. All right. So, well, that's just something for you to think about. Now, so habit, why make it a habit? Now, I'm a great proponent of habits because, primarily I work for myself, and no one's going to breathe down my neck and say that, have you done this? Have you done that? And I'm pretty guilty of, not being able to keep up the pace in terms of what I wanted to do in the past. And there were some missed opportunities. And but like what Richard Branson say, right? Opportunities are like buses. There's always another one coming up. So, if you had missed an opportunity, share with me in the comments how exactly do you deal with that missed opportunity. Now, I can't count the number of opportunities I've missed, but what I can count was what did I do afterwards. So back to the story of a couple of years back, I was thinking about launching some websites and some big ideas and all that, and I just went into an overthinking mode. I was just thinking, and eventually, nothing happened. It was just all thoughts. It was all on the drawing board. It was all great, but nothing actually happened. And when I look back, it's like, I realized that what I was doing was that I really enjoy the planning and the strategy part, but when it comes to the execution part, something about it's missing. And that was when I stumbled upon a quote, and the quote says something like this: if you want to be successful, then what you want to do is to replace disempowering habits with empowering habits, right? So you want to replace disempowering habits with empowering habits. And when I got to know that quote itself, um, and by the way, the quote I think is from Zig Ziglar's son. I can't remember his name, but so when you think about the quote itself, actually that is pretty true because many a times the thing that prevents us from reaching our potential are actually our habits. So for some of us, you may have habits of, let's say, procrastination. Some of us, we may have habits of, let's say, self sabotage. So whatever the case may be, there are certain habits that kind of impede in terms of our progress towards our achievement itself. So here the question is, A, what are the habits that are really holding us back? And B, what are some of the habits that we need to put in place so that it can kind of take us forward and take us to the next level itself, right? So those two key questions are something that you and I would have to reflect on and think about what's going on, and how we can replace them, and what are some of the things that we can do. So, one way to think about that is that, I've always believed, and I have been a process consultant for many years, right? I always believe that as an organization, you need processes, because it's only when you have processes in place and things are able to run like clockwork, that's where you are able to innovate, right? If you are, you know, in a mess all over the place, whereby everything doesn't have any processes, and everything it's depending on who's in charge, and they will do the way that they deem fit. And the problem is when the department gets bigger or the company gets bigger, it becomes not scalable. And also what's worse is when the guy leaves, right, everything kind of falls apart. So you need to have processes in place. And if you look at all great companies have got one thing in common, and that one thing in common is that they have good processes, right? So I've always been a proponent of processes. So when you bring down process to an individual level, it is called a habit, right? It's essentially the things that we will do day in, day out, and sometimes even without thinking, without having to think, without having to debate with ourselves whether are we going to do it or not. You just do it. So, for example, there are some habits that we will there's just some habits that we do it instinctively. We do it because it is a habit, right? So, like for example, when you get out of bed, one of the first things you do is no, not check your phone, but one of the first thing you do is that you would, brush your teeth, right? And of course, for almost all of us, before we get out of the house, one of the things that we will do is to take a shower. So all these kind of things are things that you wouldn't have even have to think. You do not even have to waste your cognitive ability to think about, oh, I need to ensure, I need to remind myself that I need to brush my teeth. So those are habits, and habits are something that you do, and sometimes, like I say, even without you thinking. And the same can be said of disempowering habits. For example, whenever you are given a particular task, some of us may tend to procrastinate. And the reason why we procrastinate is because we are concerned about the quality that we produce. And so, in order to minimize the criticism that we're going to get out of the quality that we produce, we tend to procrastinate because we think that, oh, if I just spend a little bit more time thinking through this project itself, I might be able to get out a better product. Now, you and I know that it's bullshit, because at the end of the day, sometimes what that leads to is just it leads to what we call a pressure cooker situation. It gets too much under pressure, whereby the timeline is drawing too near and you just decide to cram everything. And at the end of the day, you end up not even doing a decent job to begin with. And so that kind of perpetuates in itself, and then that kind of leads to people losing trust in you, people your credibility taking a beating, for example. So those are habits, and those are what we call disempowering habits. And I'm sure for all of us here, because none of us here is perfect, I'm sure all of us here, we have some disempowering habits itself. Now the question is, are we able to surface these habits? Are we able to, because many of them are tacit, right? You do not even need to think about it. It becomes second nature. You're so conditioned to doing it, and it just becomes like a flow. So what you really need to do is, you want to be able to surface that. You want to be able to think about what were the things that kind of led you into that situation, let you put you in trouble, and then to see what are some of the recurring behaviors that have been occurring, that which leads to you getting into trouble, right? So those are the disempowering habits. So one of the things that I've done in the whole process itself was that I am a firm believer of routines, because first and foremost, if you want to inculcate a habit, first and foremost, you have to have a set of routine. And the routine would be, every morning when I get up, this is the first thing I do, this is the second thing that I do, this is the third thing that I do, come rain or shine, unless there's a unless the house is on fire, unless the world is collapsing. Otherwise, nothing's more important than just getting the routine done. And of course, you have to rearrange your schedule itself, because, like for me, I've got two young children, so sometimes when I'm up and they are up, I can't get anything done, because they need attention, they need the help and all that, right? And so it requires a little bit of adjustment in terms of scheduling when you're going to do that, and all that stuff. So what I'm getting at here is that you want to have a set of habits, and these habits are what's gonna help you lead you to to your goal, and also to help you succeed. So, how do you form habits? And first thing first, how do you know what are the essential behavior that you must do? So, for example, for me, I wanted to build up an entire library, a huge library of digital assets. And to be honest, there are two aspects of it. One is that I do not want to spend all the time doing video editing, because yes, it may look good, but at the end of the day, I firmly believe that it is the content and not so much the quality itself. Of course, the quality can be good and it will be fascinating and all that stuff, but my attention here is more of being able to churn out great content, to be able to codify my tacit knowledge. That's the key idea behind that, right? In addition to that, I want to be able to document this entire journey of me building this one person, 1 million old digital business. So, the way I look at it is that, the live stream is actually for me. But what I want to do in that live stream itself is that I want to share what I've learned and what I've implemented and some of the results that I get. So, in the coming weeks and months, you will be seeing more of case studies, some things that I've implemented, because it's going to be a lot of bullshit if I just read something and I just regurgitate here over the channel. That's not really something that I want to do, right? So I want to be able to implement it and tell you, what worked, what didn't work, under what circumstances it worked, under what circumstances it wouldn't work, and then what you can do, right? So that is the key idea behind that. Now, in order for me to achieve that, so what I'm really looking at is, at the short term period, it's really about the output, right? Every day I must get a live video out, right? Every day I must get a live video out, and in that live video itself, I want to be speaking about certain things. I want to speaking about what's happening, what I've been doing, and what are some of the things that I've tried as a strategy, the mindset, the tools, for example. Those are the things that I want to focus on, right? And so the end goal is that I believe that at the end of the day, over a period of time, all this entire library of digital assets is definitely going to bring that compounding effect. And once that compounding effect kicks in, that's where things starts growing by itself. So if you have a question about building digital assets or live streaming and how to achieve that goal itself, drop your questions in the comments, and I'll be more than happy to address those questions. So I just want to take a pause here and say hi to Carlos. Carlos on LinkedIn itself. Thank you for giving me a thumbs up. That's greatly appreciated. That means a great deal to me, right? Like I say, every single encouragement, it's a level of affirmation, and it's a level of resonance with the people that I am wanting to reach. So back to my point is that I want to be able to create this library of digital assets that it's able to kind of do the work for me, and also allows me to document my own journey and process of building this 1% 1 million all digital business. And so if I am going to leave this to chance, I'm going to leave this to, oh, I'm just going to go ahead and do all my work, and if I find the time, and or if I feel like it, then I will do it. Now, trust me, I've been there many times. If that is the attitude that you're going to take, then definitely you are not going to be consistent, whatever the case may be, right? So, what you really need to do is to make it into a habit. And so, there are a few questions here. Why, first, of course, is what is the goal that you are after, right? What is that goal that you're after? Because first, you have to start with what do you want to achieve, right? So for me, I want to achieve is I want to have a library of digital assets. That's what I want to achieve, right? So that's number one. Now, number two, it's really to ask yourself, what is a crucial behavior that if you do it on a consistent basis, it's going to help you get there, right? Now, this may be a just one of the many behaviors, or this may be the behavior that if you do this on a regular basis, it's going to help you get there, right? So that is something that you will need to really think about and really have a better idea in terms of, is this one of the crucial behaviors, or is this something that it's the crucial behavior that is going to help you achieve your goal, right? So that is something that the next thing that you want to think about. Now, then, of course, the third thing is once you've decided on what exactly that behavior is, then you want to be able to set yourself up to win. And what I mean by that really is, like, for example, I said to you earlier on, one of the habits that I've inculcated is every day when I get up, I will read my Bible, and I would look at the verse that stands out to me and ask myself, right, how can I apply that verse in my life? So that has become a habit. Now, but if I'm going to leave it to chance, I'm going to not schedule it, I'm not going to make it a priority, then what's going to happen is I'm going to do it, when I can do it, right? And you and I know, that's not going to work, right? If you don't put it down as a priority, if it's not a scheduled event, then definitely, it's not going to work. Hey, Carlos, thank you so much for dropping by and taking time to leave that comment itself. Really, really thank you. Mexico, wow, it's a great place. The closest I've been to Mexico, I've never crossed over to Mexico, but the closest I've been to Mexico was when I was driving along the border between Mexico and Texas, and I could just look over and see, that is Texas, and this is that's Mexico, and this is Texas. And I was just telling my kids that, just between these two lines itself, lives could be very, very different, and people have different dreams over each side of the line itself. And interestingly, it's just divided by that line. But thank you, Carlos, for being here and dropping by. So you've been following for almost 3 years since you joined LinkedIn. Well, thanks a lot, right? I mean, really appreciate that. And let me know, if you have got any questions. And afterwards, if you'd like to, we can always follow up via DM, and we can go to have a discussion at the next level itself, right? So back to our topic. Essentially, what you want to do is you want to set yourself up to win, and setting yourself up to win means that you have to schedule it into your calendar. During your day itself, you have to schedule that in. You have to make sure that you put time, you give time for that. I mean, if that behavior itself is going to be so crucial that it's going to be instrumental in helping you achieve that goal, then I think it's worth your while to basically schedule it and make sure that it is done, right? So there's simply no two ways about it, and let's not mince words here. This is the way that it's going to get done. So for me, really, every day is that, as I go along every day, I would record down what are the things that I've done. Right? I keep a journal, and I use day one, the app that I use. I use day one to record what are the things that I've done for that particular day itself. And if for more than 3 days I find that I am not being able to put down something that I am going to be proud of, um, then that's where I start evaluating, what the hell is going on. So I like the way that Guy Kawasaki gave us as a criteria. He said that, if you know when you write down what you've done today, it has to sound good, and you have to be proud of it to tell it to your wife, right? So for example, you can't pick up the phone and call your wife and say, honey, today today we order stationery. Right? um I mean, that in itself already sounded funny, but you get the point. It's something that, yes, it's necessary, but it's not going to move the needle, right? So if you call your wife, or you call your spouse, or you call your best friend and you say, man, today what we did was that we knocked out one strategy. We started on, deciding to run ads against our Facebook live videos itself. Now that seems something, right? Well, whether or not that kind of leads you to a progress, kind of get you closer to your goal, that's another thing altogether. But the point is that, it's something that you are proud to announce it to, your spouse, your best friend, or you know even on air, for example, right? So what I do is, I will every day I will list down the things that I've done. And I will be honest with you, some days I am not proud of what I've written down, because it's like, I'm not going to tell my wife I did that today. That's all I did, right? Because it's just redonkulous, right? And so, what I would do is, I would, um, you know, find and say that, there must be something more important than that, right? And so that's why I am using this software called Purdue, right? And it helps me with the, not just setting of goals, but writing the objectives and key results, as well as KPIs. And so that kind of leads me to the point here. So at the end of the day, if you want to be successful, you want to be able to identify a behavior and make that behavior into a habit. And when I say it's a habit, what I meant by that is that it has to be something that you don't even think about it and you just do it, right? Like you don't even think about breathing or drinking water. You just do it, right? And it has to be at that level of subconsciousness whereby, even without thinking, even without debating with yourself, you would just do it, and you do it because it has become a habit, and you do it because that is a crucial behavior that is going to help you achieve your goal. And for me, one of that behavior, it's live streaming, or for the reasons that I've mentioned earlier. But for me, it's live streaming. So should you be making live streaming a habit? Well, at the end of the day, it really depends on you. But if you were to ask me, 2021, you definitely want to look at live streaming. Why? Because it's going to become a competitive edge for those people who are able to use live streaming in an effective manner. And for those of you who are not able to use live streaming, you I hope you have a different strategy. I hope you have a better strategy. But if you don't and your competitors do, then you are going to be looking at some competition here, right? So if you want a head start, and if you want to get deep and become a rock star in live streaming, then definitely check out this guy itself. It's called the A2Z Guy on live streaming in 2021. How you can get that? Go on to livestream.rocks, and once you're there, sign up for the A to Z guide, and you will get one chapter every day. So that I do not overwhelm you with all 26 chapters in one go. One chapter every day. I'll give you a few points based on the research that I've curated, and then I will give you an actionable task for you to do. So if you adhere to all that 26 tasks that is given to you, at the end of this month itself, you will have a good idea in terms of what you need to do when it comes to live streaming. So that is what we have for you here today. Like I say, if you are watching from whichever platform, let me know. Give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment. I am most happy to hear that. And let me know what you think of this episode. If it has been good, leave me a thumbs up. It has been good. Leave me a comment and say that this episode is awesome, right? And if you have a topic that you would like me to cover pertaining to live stream, make sure you leave that in the comments itself. And I read every single comment, and I will respond to every single comment. And when I can, if I need to, I will make a video if you have a question on that area itself, right? So for those of you who are just wondering, I did my swab test yesterday. I'm still waiting for the results, so fingers crossed. I should be getting my results tomorrow. If all cleared, I'm free to go about my usual business. um, I just thought that it's going to be a socially responsible thing, because I had some of the symptoms, and plus I've got young children going to school, and the last thing I want is for us to be spreading unknowingly. And so, the most socially responsible thing that I can do as a person, as a citizen, as a dad, as a husband, is to get a swab test. I didn't want to get a swab test because I know it's going to be uncomfortable, but comfort, it's subordinated. It's going to be subordinated. Other people's well-being and everybody's well-being is going to be much more crucial than that. So, if you can say a prayer for me, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it's going to be all cleared, and then I'll be able to leave my home and enjoy the fresh air outside. Otherwise, I'm kind of cooped up at home, and I got to be have to be separated, sleep in a separate room from my kids and my wife as well. So that is really, really, not so great. If you can hear, my voice is still, not 100% back itself. I don't know what's going on, but there's some bug going around. But in any case, I pray that you stay safe and stay healthy. And to my friends in the US of A, I pray that um, you will have the democracy that we all have been looking up to, and you will have that level of we would have that level of stability, when things kind of settle down itself, right? And so for everyone out here, stay safe and take care of yourself. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you. Bye bye.